Lo han sudado. Y de repente.
Hey there, budlets. Welcome to this month's episode of the Sassy and Hatter Show. Broadcasting straight from the hazy little haven that is the Smokeezy Social Club. I'm Ghost, resident storyteller, keeper of the weird, and the one making sure this whole thing stays on track, or at least doesn't crash too hard. Now, let's clear something up. In this world you're about to step into, it's pure fiction. Every character, every twist, every ridiculous turn. But let's be real. Just because it's fiction doesn't mean it's not true. Stories have a funny way of reflecting reality, twisting it through a smoky lens until you start seeing the pieces of yourself and the madness. Our goal, simple, to entertain, to educate, and maybe, just maybe, make you laugh so hard you forgot where you put your lighter. Now, check your pocket or the fridge. I don't make the rules, I just know how these things go. Oh, and before anyone gets their talking or not, all medical cannabis featured in the show, strictly for research, education, and yeah, a little bit of entertainment. We take our work very seriously. It just so happens to involve a lot of snacks and the occasional philosophical debate whether or not pigeons have an underground crime syndicate. They do. No one changes my mind on this. Now, grab your favorite seat, beanbag, bar stool, or that one cushion on the couch that's perfectly molded to your butt, and settle in because we've got a hell of a lineup for you today. We're kicking off with the chase first. Somewhere out there, lurking in the shadows, is the Fox, the Queen of Hearts herself. Sassy has been on her trail, and tonight we'll be piercing through the clues, see where she's hiding, what's her next move, and most importantly, why does this feel less like a hunt and more of a game that she's already 10 steps ahead in? Stay sharp because this mystery is just heating up. Then, next up, we'll be taking a little educational in the loosest possible sense of the word. First, we'll have Strain School, where we break down this month's strain of cannabis, how it smokes, what it does, and whether it turns you into a philosopher or a couch-bound potato. Then we dive into the curse of the month, where we explore the history's strangest, spookiest, or downright dumbest curses. Will you learn something? Probably. Will you question every major life decision you've ever made? Also, probably. And then, Valentine's Day. The holiday of grand romantic gestures, overpriced roses, awkward dinner dates. But where did this whole mess start? Today, we're going to be breaking down on how different cultures celebrate, or just completely ignore, the so-called Day of Love. It turns out there are way better ways to show your affection than panic buying gas station teddy bears at last minute. And then we're going to take a breather and take a mental health break and look at grief and how we process it. Grief is something we all deal with, but no one really talks about it. Different cultures have their own ways of honoring the dead, and some of them surprisingly joyful. Because mourning doesn't have to be about sadness. Sometimes it's about remembering, celebrating, or finding your own way through the messy process of loss. And then, alright, we'll have enough of the heavy stuff. Time for some tea. And let me tell you, the pot is boiling over. Sassy has got a story to tell, and it just so happens to involve a sturdy, foxy individual. What's their connection? What's the history? And what's he willing to admit on air? One thing's for sure, you don't want to miss this. And to close things out, we'll be diving into the Chronicles of Enoki, specifically the legend of Vestige, the goddess of creation. This one's one of my personal favorites, and trust me, it's got everything, myth, magic, and just the right amount of mind-bending weirdness to make you question your entire existence. So, sit back, let Hatter spin a tale, and get ready to be thoroughly confused in the best way possible. But before we get into that, let me leave you with something to think about. Long ago, before the gods meddled in destinies were woven, we were whole. We were spherical beings, complete with 4 arms, 4 legs, and 2 faces that gazed outwards into eternity. We danced through time, unstoppable, in perfect harmony. But the gods, in their envy and fear, tore us apart, leaving each other to wander the world as fragments, searching for the other half that makes us whole. that longing lives us in us all, in the stories we share, the people we meet, and the paths we choose. And here, in the Sassy and Hatter Show, that search comes alive. Hatter, with her velvet horns, seeking meaning in the madness. And her brother Sassy, the lone wanderer that travels through the shadow in search of connection. Together they're opposites in motion, fire and longing, chaos and connection. And me, I'm the one holding the pen, capturing it all. Today, though, I dedicate this show to my own secret love. In the words, in the spaces between the lines, and the rhythm that beats quite fiercely. So, let's dive in. Your adventure is waiting, and your journey begins now. Welcome back, budlets, to the Sassy and Hatter Show. I am Hatter. And to start off with, I've got a bone to pick. Sassy, where on earth have you been? I've been sitting here wondering if you have vanished into thin air again. I never truly vanished. I simply got caught up at chasing up the next big lead. And speaking of leads, you might be interested to know I've been hot on the trail after a rather crafty fox. A fox, you say? I've been chasing that sly vixen through alleys, over rooftops, and even down the back streets at midnight. That's right, I've been tailing this trickster for months now. Every clue has pointed me deeper into this mystery until I realised that this fox isn't just any creature, it's a master of misdirection. I couldn't just sit by and let the prize key disappear into the night, now could I? So you're off chasing foxes again while I'm left to do your paperwork. Reminds me of a classic caper of the movies. Except if memory serves, you tend to chase more than just foxes. Is this one of your romantic escapades again? Are you still chasing tail, Sassy? Either way, brother, you need to stop chasing tail and start working on solving this case. Oh, hush. You know my heart is dedicated to the chase as it is to our adventure. But yes, perhaps I do a bit of reputation in chasing all sorts of tales, whether they belong to a charming rogue or long-cost kin. Still, when a fox steals my key, I simply can't ignore the call of duty. Well, forgive me if I'm a tad exasperated. Sassy, I was left pacing like a character in one of those suspense films. You missed the premiere of 7 Chances last week. Yes, the very one you've been planning to watch together. Because of you were off in the midnight fox hunt. I was expected at least a postcard or a cryptic text to let me know you're alive and well. I know. I promise it wasn't deliberate disappearance. The thrill of the chase sometimes calls louder than a movie night, and believe me, this isn't just a wild goose chase, this is serious business. The fox has become a linchpin in such a bigger mystery. One could unravel secrets far beyond that was a stolen key. Which I guess brings us on to tonight's exciting announcement. The next grand event at Smoke Easy, the Grand Fox Hunt. Yes, dear listeners, we are inviting you onto the keen detective team. We require your creative minds to join us in tracking down clues, solving puzzles, and uncovering the truth behind this elusive fox and a missing key. Absolutely. This isn't just any scavenger hunt. It's a call to arms for all our budlets who have a knack for mystery and mischief. To enter the Grand Fox Hunt, we want you to send your best creative solution. Whether it's a poem, a limerick, or even just that clever verse that captures the thrill of the hunt. Think of it as your official entry ticket into our secret investigation circle. That's right. Every detail, whether you prefer to email your submission in or send it in by post, can be found on our website. So fire up those creative engines, dust off the pens and keyboards, and show us what you've got. Your entry could be the very clue that could help us crack this case wide open. Imagine the glory. The winning entry will not only earn eternal bragging rights, but will also feature on our show, and I'm sure we can arrange for some herbal refreshments for our winner. It may just unlock the secret that could bring us into one step closer to recovering that stolen key and outsmarting our foxy nemesis. I must admit, I'm excited to see what our clever budlets come up with. And while I'm still recovering from the shock of your late night escapade, seriously, Sassy, you need to stop chasing tail and start working on your case files. I can't help but admire your unyielding spirit there. Oh, Asa, you wound me. But I'll try and rein in my wanderlust for the sake of our investigation. After all, every great detective needs a healthy balance of passion and prudence. And speaking of balance, let's not forget our listeners, we're counting on you to bring in some fresh perspectives into this case. Hey, here's two for your sass. There once was a fellow so bold, whose adventures were daring and cold. But chasing the fox left him frazzled and queer, and now the key is just a story untold. There was a lady from Delaware who would dance around without care, and unbenign in her purse she kept a courgette, but always forgot her underwear.
Well, would you look at that? A spectral poet joining our ranks. Even the ghost is getting on the fun, reminding us that there is no mystery too old to inspire a rhyme.
Exactly, and that's the spirit of what we all want from you out there. Whether you're a budding bard or a seasoned wordsmith, we want your verses, we want your limericks, and we want your creative outbursts to capture the essence of ours all year on.
So, to recap, dear listeners, the Grand Fox Hunt at Smokies is your chance to join our adventure. Send in your creative entry, a poem, limerick, or verse via email or good old-fashioned post. All details on where and how to send it can be found on our website. Link in the description. You may also read my blog of the Hatter's Herald there.
Join us, help us solve the mystery and the missing key, and that elusive fox. Your creative submissions could be the spark that lights the way to uncovering a plot thicker than any tale.
Indeed. Now, we need to get back to the show, and perhaps a closer eye on my brother's disappearing ex. Sassy, you're an idiot. While you're out there chasing tail, remember, sometimes the best detectives know how and when to put the chase aside and focus on the work at hand.
Point taken, I promise from now on I'll only chase clues instead of chasing tails. Well, at least more clues than tails. And to our little budlets, we eagerly await your poetic entries. Help us catch this fox and recover that key that's been the bane of Hatter's existence.
Thank you, yes. But let's go forward on this wild ride, everyone. Get creative, get involved, and let's show that no fox, nor any missing key, can outsmart this team. Remember, all the details are on our website. Link down below.
And remember to like, subscribe, and all that jazz.
Next, budlets. Now for Strain School. Your lesson has now begun, where knowledge flows as freely as the vibes, and the tuition is strictly optional. I'm Hatter, your resident mistress of mischief and cannabis curriculum.
Today's strain, UK cheese, the stinkiest export Britain's given the world.
Except this funk is international. But, hold on to that thought. We've got a special guest to help us break down this iconic strain. Joining us is the man from London, cannabis hunter extraordinaire, or so he claims.
Bonsoir, brother Wagwan fam. Me like straight out of London's in it. I've been on the wildest ganja quest, you get me. Proper peek, bruv, into the pattern of my things. Right, you sound like a roadman trying to audition for Cirque du Soleil. Are you sure you're from anywhere? I'm a grass mule around me. A man like me, I am the international man of mystery, we. I've got the French flair and the London street smarts. No one else's patterns like me, bruv.
Oh, UK cheese, huh? A brave selection. I'm not saying it's like walking through a footlocker in a barnyard, but what exactly can you tell us about this polarizing bouquet?
Listen up, mon amis. The strain, she's the number one stink phenotype, you know? From back in the 90s, some man them in the UK caught the stink and said, yo, the aroma is like strong cheddar with a citrusy twist. Proper bang tear thing, trust me. So, a cheese board for stoners. Do you pair it with a nice red or just some Tesco biscuits? Nah, no biscuits, bruv. The taste. Earthy, spicy, smooth is the kind of thing that makes your brain go, oof, manique. Proper vibes and the underwinding of the art of, like, a daydreaming of the mega munchies.
Mega munchies? Are we talking about some construction equipment or something more metaphorical here?
Both my friends, a strain to send you into the land of the big dreams. Picture this, you, a giant tractor and the moon just vibes out, we? Right, And I'm supposed to take you seriously. You're selling me cheese-flavoured daydreams and lunar tractors. This accent isn't helping, by the way. Are you sure you're not from, like, a Weatherspoons in Montreal? Ah, Sassy, why you vexed? Me the man's a world. I've got the vibes, I've got the strain. She's got the ultimate chilting.
Fair enough. The UK cheese is renowned for its euphoric balance effects.
Now, let's bring in Ghost for a live test. Ready, Ghost? Alright, budlets, let's see what this cheese is saying. Earthy, sharp, that citrus thing. Heavy hits though. Feels like a weighted blanket for my brain. Definitely relaxing, but yeah, it's not a lightweight choice.
That's the consensus. UK cheese, pungent, powerful, and perfect for the seasoned enthusiast looking to unwind. But definitely not for anyone who's got plans to leave the couch.
Or anyone with a sense of smell, apparently. Thanks, Ghost. So, London, before we wrap up, any final words? Only this. Even the commission rejects me. I have known I've done one part to share the cheese vibes. Vive la fromage, no? That's great, mate. But maybe work on the accent before your next guest spot. I'm still not sure where you're from.
And on that note, folks, we're signing off for this segment. Thanks for joining us for Strain School. Remember, stay curious, stay safe, and as always, know your limits. Now, my budlets, welcome to our next segment, Curse of the Month, where we delve into the education and understanding of an offensive term, phrase, or words. This month we'll be tipping our hats truly off to this captivating piece of language.
But before we serve at the main course, let's dish out some housekeeping. You see, we're now officially trying to adhere to a UK 12A rating and a US PG-13 rating, which allows us only one spicy swear word. Just one.
And trust us, we've scoured the official guidelines to make sure we're on point. According to the British Board of Film Classification, the BBFC, a 12A film can contain moderate language if used infrequently and with the right context. Meanwhile, the Motion Picture Association, MPA, in the US states that a PG-13 film can slip in one stronger expletive, usually the famous F-bomb, as long as it's not too graphic or sexual. So we're definitely not going to push our luck on this one.
Think of it like a game token at the world's best arcade. You only get one try at the grand prize, so we're saving our big, glorious swear for maximum impact.
Language, it evolves, mutates, and occasionally does a backflip when you least expect it. Have you ever wondered how certain words start off sounding quaint and end up with a more sting than a beehive?
Oh, absolutely. Take silly, for example. It used to mean happy or blessed in Old English. Now it's something you say when your co-host forgets to top up the tea bags. Hatter?
I was just giving them a vacation. Everyone needs a break now and then, even tea bags. But you're right, language does do cartwheels through time.
Which brings us on to our special word of the day. Imagine something that begins in Latin referring to tiny, delicate airs. Something that you barely mention in polite company.
And then after centuries of cultural twists, turns, and downright comedic translations, it morphs into a Spanish slang term that can mean coward, jerk, or idiot, depending on the context.
Talk about range. It started in the nether regions and ended up scolding folks at the bar. Truly a glow-up, if we can call it that at all.
But here's where it gets interesting. Among close friends, especially in some parts of Latin America, this word can be used playfully. Almost like calling someone a knucklehead. Yet, utter it to the wrong person and you're basically lobbing a verbal grenade.
Because context, my dears, is everything. 1 minute it's all laughs and then it's next a social landmine.
Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, a single, solitary chance to drop this curse of the month. Are you ready, Sassy?
Oh, I was born ready. Drum roll, please.
Here it is, folks. Brace yourselves.
Pendeo.
And just like that, we've used our prized PG-13 12A slot. If anyone is wanting a second bomb, sorry, it's not going to happen.
Refunds, folks. Our entire swear budget. Let's break it down. One humble term for pubic hair. Yes, you heard that right. It's grown into a slang word for someone acting foolish or cowardly.
In some circles, it's as casual as calling your friend buddy. In others' words, it's a surefire way to spark chaos.
So, treat it like a single golden token. Only use it when you're certain that you won't regret it. Unless you enjoy picking fights with strangers, then by all means.
We did it. We've climbed a mountain of linguistic history, navigated a landmine of censorship, and emerged victorious with our big reveal.
Exactamente. Language is powerful, my friends. It can charm, it can bruise, and it can definitely escalate a situation if used recklessly.
So there you have it, the glorious transformation of delicate hair to a word that'll make you raise your eyebrows or break you out in laughter, depending on where you are.
And our best advice is that if you're not sure how it will land, maybe keep this one tucked away. But hey, live your life, just don't blame us for the fireworks.
Exactly. The Sassy and Hatter Show disclaims all legal, emotional and social responsibility for any usage of the words at office parties, family reunions, or random karaoke nights.
And on that note, we hope you've gained a new perspective, a laugh and a little cautionary tale all in one. Alright, it's that time of year again. Hearts are fluttering, flowers have been brought up at last minute prices, and the world's either in love or pretending to be. Yep, it's Valentine's Day.
Ah, love. The drug that leaves us all tripping at the best, and sometimes in the worst ways. But let's be real, without it we wouldn't have chocolate, and that, my dear brother, is a tragedy.
No argument there. You know, Valentine's Day is a bit more than just chocolates and roses game. It's got history, budlets. History far older and far more interesting than your standard Hallmark card.
I'm intrigued. Hit me with it. What's the story behind this day of lovey-dovey madness?
Well, if we go way back in time, let's head to ancient Rome, where they threw a wild, uncensored festival called Lupercalia. Now, this wasn't just your typical romantic dinner date. Lupercalia was a fertility festival dedicated to the Roman god Fantus. The legendary founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. It was held every year on the 15th of February, and festivities included rituals meant to cleanse the city and promote fertility. Yeah, fertility, which means, well, you can imagine what was happening there. Men would sacrifice goats and then use the goats' hides to whip women in the streets. Wild, right?
Sounds like my kind of festival. I could have gone to that back in the day. Whips, goats, all the wine you could drink.
Oh, it wasn't all bad though. They also had a lottery for the young men. They would draw their names for a woman from a jar and pair them up for the duration of the festival. Sometimes these pairs would end up getting married. But eventually, over the centuries, Lupercalia got a bit too risque for the church. Enter Saint Valentine.
So the church decided to clean it up and make it a little bit more tame.
Exactly. Well, there were actually a few different Saint Valentines, but most popular story involved a priest named Valentine, who defiled Emperor Claudius II, the emperor that banned marriages for young soldiers, believing that single men fought better than those of families. Valentine, however, secretly performed weddings for these young couples. When the emperor found out, Valentine was thrown into prison. Then, after his execution on February 14th, he was made a martyr. The date became associated with love and devotion, and over time, it evolved into the celebration of romantic love that we know today.
I mean, there's a lot of drama behind this holiday. Sounds like a soap opera with a dash of medieval rebellion.
For sure, but Valentine's Day didn't take off worldwide all at once. It wasn't until the Middle Ages that the connection between February 14th and romantic love became more solidified. Geoffrey Chaucer, the poet in England, made the connection between the day and love in his epic 700-line poem, Parliament of Flews, which was done in 1382. which references February 14th as a day that the birds choose their mates.
Birds choosing mates. I mean, I can't help but picture a field of flowers, except with more smoke and less pecking.
Right, and from there, the romantic tradition grew, especially in Europe. By the 18th century, giving flowers, chocolates, and handwritten notes became the norm, in which Britain, well, it spread across the rest of the world.
Chocolates. Finally, a tradition I can get behind. But, Sassy, what about around the world? Is everyone just handing out cards with "Be Mine" written on them?
Not quite. Let's take a tour into some other celebrations, starting with Japan. Over there, Valentine's Day is a bit different. Instead of men showering women with flowers, women give chocolates to men. They typically give giri shoko, or obligation of chocolate, to colleagues or friends. And then later in the month, on White Day, which is on the 14th of March, men are expected to return the favour, and then give more expensive gifts. It's like a holiday, but it has its own chocolate economy. And I can say I'm fairly here for it.
Though it's like a chocolate debt. Men owe women chocolates. I do love the sound of that.
Oh, absolutely. And in South Korea, they expanded the concept into a triple threat of love celebrations. Not only do they have Valentine's Day and White Day, but they also have Black Day on April 14th. If you're single, you get together with other singles to eat jamonjeon. I think that's pronounced correctly. Or black bean paste noodles to mourn your singlehood. It's a bit grim, but hey, it's got a certain charm.
A noodle-based therapy session. That sounds like the best way to cope with being single. Carbs are the answer to everything.
And in Finland and Estonia, they celebrate Friendship Day. Instead of focusing on the purely romantic love, it's a day to honour your friends, show appreciation, and give small gifts. Or hugs. It might just be my favourite version of this day. Love doesn't just belong to couples, it's about showing love to everyone who matters to you.
I'm all about that. Friendship love is the real deal. Plus, I'm pretty sure my friends would prefer a hug over a dozen roses.
And speaking of non-romantic love, let's not forget about the memes. The internet has created its own version of Valentine's Day. Galentine's Day, celebrated on February 13th. It's all about women celebrating women. You throw a party, grab some snacks, and just have some fun with your besties. No romantic pressure, just good vibes and love.
Now, that's the holiday I'm signing up for. Throw down some edibles, make some jokes, and celebrating my girl squad. Count me in.
And of course, in the UK and US, we've got this whole Valentine's Day card tradition. These days, people exchange cute or funny cards, and sometimes anonymously. I mean, you can't forget the whole galaxy brain moment when you realise you just sent a card to your mate and call it a day. Easy, effortless, isn't it?
Who knew that all this history could come down to buying a card with a punny phrase on it?
Yeah, it's all about spreading the love, whatever feels good to you. So, whether you're into celebrating the chocolates, memes, a date, or just some well-timed self-care, remember, Valentine's Day is more than the commercial hype. It's about connection. Remember those you love and those we might have forgotten to show love to in our busy lives.
Love to friendship and making sure you've got some good company. Whether it's your partner, your friends, or just a best strain in the back of the cupboard. Happy Valentine's Day to you folks.
Now, over to Ghost. Dear listeners, I'm Ghost, your guide through the shadowed corridors of human existence. Today, we delve into the profound universal emotion, grief. This intricate tapestry of feelings emerges in response to loss, and while it binds us all, the threads of expression are woven differently across cultures and eras. Let us explore the stages of grief and how various societies have navigated this poignant journey. Swiss-American physicist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross introduced a model in 1969 to describe the emotional stages that may be experienced when facing terminal illness, loss, or similar. This framework is known as the Kubler-Ross model, and has been applied to various forms of loss, including the death of a loved one. The 5 stages are as follows. 1. Denial. A defense mechanism where the individual believes that a diagnosis is somehow mistaken and cling to false, preferable reality. Some may isolate themselves and avoid others who may have accepted the situation. 2. Anger. When an individual recognizes that the denial cannot continue, they become frustrated, especially to proximate individuals. Certain psychological responses can include, why me? It's not fair. How can this happen to me? Who's to blame? Why would this happen? And similar. 3. Bargaining. The 3rd stage involves hope that the individual can avoid a cause of grief, usually the negotiating for extended life, and it is made for the exchange of reformed lifestyles. Examples can include the terminally ill person who negotiates with God to attend their daughter's wedding, for example. And 4. Depression. During this stage, an individual despairs the recognition of their morality. Some become silent, refuse visitors, and spend much time of being mournful and sullen. And 5. Acceptance. In the final stage, individuals embrace morality of that the loved one or another tragic event. People dying may perceive the survivors in this state, which typically comes in a calm, retrospective view of an individual and the stable condition of emotions. It is important to note that all these stages are not necessarily experienced in a linear fashion. Individuals may move back and forth between these stages, or experience them in a different order. The grieving process can be deeply personal and varies wildly among individuals. Grief is a universal experience, yet its expression and rituals surrounding it are profoundly influenced by cultural contexts. Understanding these cultural nuances offers insight into the diverse ways of humanity and how they cope with loss. It was also noted that heartbreak, survivor's guilt, and other forms of trauma can draw similarities to grief in both symptoms and treatment. In many Latin American societies, grief is a communal experience. Dias de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is a vibrant celebration where families honor the deceased loved ones with altars, offerings, and festivities. The tradition reflects a belief in the ongoing connection between the living and the dead. And in countries like Sweden, Norway, mourning is often more of a reserved affair. Public displays of emotion are less common, and there is an emphasis on maintaining dignity and composure in the face of loss. This doesn't mean that grief is less intense, it's simply just handled in a quieter, more introspective manner. In Japan, grief is intertwined with the deep respect for ancestors and the afterlife. The Anbon festival is a time where you honor the spirits of your ancestors, reflecting on the belief that the dead return to visit their families. Mourning practice can be long, ritualistic, with a focus on creating harmonious relationships between the living and the dead. Mourning practices in Europe vary wildly. In Europe, grieving is more expressive, communal event, with wakes and funerals, and often involving gatherings where stories are shared, and people comfort each other openly. In contrast, in the UK, particularly in Victorian times, it had strict social codes on how to publicly mourn, with widows wearing black for extended periods and adhering to specific behaviors to express their grief. The period emphasizes that the importance of outward displays of mourning as a sign of respect for the deceased. Then, in ancient Egypt, mourning was a public affair with elaborate funerals and rituals to honor the deceased. The belief that the afterlife led to practices like mummification and the inclusion of goods and treasures in tombs. It was kind of the whole idea behind the pyramids. These historical practices reflect the evolving nature of mourning rituals and societal expectations surrounding grief. Grief is complex and deeply personal experience. It's influenced by individual circumstances and cultural contexts. While these stages of grief provide a framework for the understanding of the emotional journey following a loss, Everyone's journey is unique. My own personal journey with grief has, I'll be honest, not been easy. But remembering those moments of joy and happiness with those that have passed is something that may help guide you, as it did for me through my stormy sea, and those dark days where you feel like nothing matters. And one day we're all reunited with our loved ones. It may just not be on this journey, it may be on your next. And if you're affected by these messages, reach out to someone. There are all sorts of helplines. We'll leave some in the descriptions or on our website. And stay safe. Now, back onto the adventure of the Sassy and Hatter Show.
Sassy, you've told us about your days as a pirate, the treasures you've claimed, the adventures you've had on the high seas, but I know there's more to you than just that. What really shaped you into a privateer? And where did your journey begin?
Oh, Hatter. The piracy. That I just did for fun, like a hobbit in Second Breakfast. But if you're digging deeper, it didn't just start with a sword or a ship. It started with a job. And we should call her the Fox.
The Fox? Finally, we got to the good part. What was it about her? I was starting to think you were going to shrivel up like an amoeba after one too many bongs.
Sis. Sometimes you meet someone and it feels like you've known them forever. And her eyes, Hatter, they were sapphires, vast as the oceans, deep enough to swallow you all. One look, and she could pierce through the strongest armour, lay bare to the deepest parts of your soul.
She sounds otherworldly. And let me guess, a princess or something?
No, she was a singer. Her voice was like a Valkyrie's, cool, strong, commanding, yet soft and melodic. She didn't just sing, she owned the air around her. And me, I was chosen to protect her. It wasn't just about keeping her safe, I became her confidant. We shared everything, our dreams, our fears, our hopes. But despite our closeness, she was trapped in a world that didn't really understand her.
And let me guess, she didn't listen to one of your business plans, did she?
No, she wanted all that day. To pick flowers, she collected pressed flowers, especially pink ones. So we ran, no titles, no expectations, just the two of us discovering the world. First stop, Rome, where the sun spills the golden honey over the cobblestones worn by time. The air, thick with history and the scent of citrus, whispers and secrets that only lovers and poets understand. But the trees, Hatter, the pink orchid trees, they stood like citadels. The blossoms weightless as a song, drifting as the silk on a lazy dance. They moved like music, petals pirouetting through the sky, landing over her shoulders like the whispered dreams. And she laughed, spinning the world in shade, and her voice lighter than the wind, as if nothing in the world could ever weigh her down.
Oh, pink orchid trees in Rome. Sounds like a dream. Now, where did you go next?
Tokyo, where the neon hums, where the streets pulse like veins through the living beast. Beyond the chaos, past the chatter of markets, through the electric glow, we found stillness. The cherry blossoms, they fell like snow, painting the world in the pale pink in each petal, a silent poem drifting through the air. We sat beneath them, the city's heart fading, our own rhythm slowly matching the falling blooms. She reached out and caught one between her fingers and held it like the most precious thing in the world. And for a moment, a single moment, time borrowed to us, and we were infinite.
A lot of flowers, Sassy. A lot of quiet moments.
The Netherlands, the tulip fields stretch endlessly, a sea of colour swayed in the breath of spring. Rows of pinks, reds, yellows and purples, a symphony of shades humming under the sky of endless blue. She walked among them, her fingers grazing each petal in memories of their texture in the wind to carry the scent of the earth, the bloom. The flowers leaning as they touched, and she knew that she was one of them. A fleeting thing of beauty meant to be admired but never captured.
You sampled the truffles, didn't you? But where next?
California, the redwoods, the giants, as old as time, their roots tangled deep, their limbs whispering the wisdom that only the wind can hear. We walked among them, their presence humbling, their shadows stretching out long, the air thick with moss, and earth as sacred as the silence. I looked at her and she looked at me, and for once though words weren't needed. The trees, they stood as witness, as quiet as understanding, but the things they don't seem to be spoken, only to be known.
The most powerful connections don't need words. Or are you just leaving things out?
Maybe.
No, let's talk about what really happened, Sassy. You've painted a picture of beauty, of sweetness, of a journey that sounds like pure poetry.
Our last stop was Hawaii. The beach is endless, the sea stretching out forever, the scent of salt and flowers in the air. It felt like the edge of the world. But then, the wind changed. It thickened, it grew heavy, alive, the ocean held its breath. And then, the horizon. A ship appeared. Not one of these merchant vessels we had seen before. Not a friendly face among them. It was black as night. Its sails ragged, its helm stood, a man with a bounty on my head and a grudge deep as the sea. And then, the first shot rang out.
A bounty? This wasn't by chance. Someone had to be hunting you.
And they weren't looking to parley. They wanted my blood, my ship, my name wiped from their seas. The fox and I had no time to think. We ran. The ocean roared around us, the cannon fire spitting at the night. The scent of the gunpowder heavy in the air. We cut the anchor and let the wind carry us, but the sea had other plans. The storm came fast, as if the gods themselves had awakened the fury. The sky split open, the lightning turned into the world of fire and shadow. The wind screamed, the waves heaved, and then we were swallowed all.
You were caught between the storms and the pirate. Sounds like there was no escape.
The ship cracked like bone, the sea dragging us into its maw. I remember the cold, the weight of the waves pulling us under. I remember reaching for her, but the tide had already claimed her. I don't remember how I got to shore, only that I woke up coughing salt and sand. The sky dark above me. The storm had thrown us against the jagged rocks, tearing the older splinters. And there, on the black sand, I saw her.
The fox?
Aye. Her lips were blue, her skin cold as death. She wasn't breathing out. And at the moment, the world stopped.
But you brought her back, didn't you?
I had to. I couldn't let the sea take her. I pressed my hands against her chest, hauled her back, but the breath wouldn't come for her. Her fingers, cold, her heartbeat, gone. I did the only thing I could. I gave her my heart.
What do you mean?
Not just in words, I reached into something deeper. I don't know if it was the sea, or the storm, or something older than I've been waiting in the dark. But I called her back. I pulled her back. And then, the moment her lips parted, the moment she gasped for breath, the air around me changed. The waves calmed. The wind stilled. But I felt it. I knew something had been taken in return. A debt owed. A price paid.
And this key, you haven't mentioned it. You haven't told me about this. You told me about the ship, the chase. But what about this key? What's so important about it?
Yeah, she had a key, yes. A small ornate thing. It wasn't just metal. It was silver, old as the stars. Etched with runes I didn't recognise. She said it was to unlock something ancient, something lost. I think think that's why they came for us.
So this wasn't a bounty. This was planned.
Someone wanted it badly enough to chase us across the world. And I think they still do.
Sassy, you've been dodging something. The key, if that is what they wanted. What does it open?
I don't know, Hatter. But I know it's dangerous. The fox, she knew it too. She carried it like a burden. Whispered of things best locked away. And now, wherever we go, that past follows.
If they wanted it badly enough to kill for it, then they won't stop. Not now. So tell me, does she still have it?
Aye, but I wouldn't let her fall into hands, not while I still breathe.
Then stop running. We'll find out what this key unlocks. We'll end this before they catch up to you again.
Aye, but that's for another time, innit?
Yes, we do need to go to the library. Off the Grand Library. Beacon of celebration. An archive of human knowledge. And most importantly, a place where I may or may not still be on the restricted list.
Restricted again? What did you do this time?
Details.
That's not an answer.
If you must know, I was simply engaging in an intellectual property dispute.
Meaning?
Meaning, I refuse to turn a book on account of loving it too much.
You treat overdue books like ex-lovers, clingy, dramatic, and full of bad decisions.
Rich coming from you. And what literally masterpiece do you want from this fine establishment?
War the worlds?
Ah, yes, the charming tear where a highly advanced extraterrestrials can traverse the stars, but forget to carry a pack of Lensip and die to a glorified cold.
It's got war, it's got chaos, it's got Martians. What's not the love?
And I'm here for a true work of art. Our cultural triumph.
Alright, hit me. What masterpiece have you come to claim?
Deadpool, Dracula's Gauntlet. The one where he acquires Dracula's wife.
So, you're dragging me across town in the pouring rain to a sacred institution of knowledge for a comic book.
Exactly, brother. You get me.
Alright, I admit, this place looks nice. Not what I expected from someone who once lost her coat in a poker game.
I didn't lose it. I strategically forfeited it for the sake of diplomatic relations.
You walked home in a tablecloth at her.
Fashion is fluid.
A deep rumbling sound. I smell smoke. Tell me that's a fireplace and not what I think it is.
Oh no. That's definitely the dragon.
The what?
You have your vixen, and I have my dragon.
This is so above my pay grade. Well, well. Ain't this a surprise? You bring me another one, Hatter. Thought one was a headache enough.
Jabs, please. Sassy is a delight. A vision of stoicism and repressed emotions.
Thanks. You a reader, boy, or just here to cause trouble? That depends. You any good at poker? Hatter ain't tell you, huh? I cleaned her out in a poker game once. Sat that woman down and watched her bluff her way into losing her coat, a gold pocket watch, and a promise that you'd never play against me again.
I let you win.
That's why you walked out in a curtain looking like a cheap magician. Oh, I like you. You better, because I sure as hell don't like chasing folks down who forget to return their books.
Speaking of books, one War of the Worlds for Sissy, and one Deadpool Dracula's Gauntlet for myself, please.
So, let me get this straight. One of you is reading about an alien war, and the other one is reading about a wisecrapping mercenary kidnapping a vampire bride. Yeah, that sums it about up. You got some real strange tastes, you know.
Excuse me, while I will have you know that this is a culturally significant piece of literature. This poetic artistry, the emotional depth, the epic love story of Deadpool cuckolding Dracula.
Yeah, because that's what people read comics for, isn't it? And you sugar. What is it about War of the Worlds that's got you hooked? Nothing about aliens getting outwitted by germs. Yeah, it's more than that. It's about survival, chaos, watching humanity crumble because it's not ready for what's coming. You gotta take something unlikable like an invasion force from Mars and then BAM, it turns out like a damn cough to bring him down. Reminds me of A Little Life, you know. Everyone acts invincible, tough, untouchable until something small, something stupid sneaks in and knocks them flat, innit? Now that I can respect. Life's full of things like that. Big damn storms, tiny raindrops. One eats you fast, the other one wears you down slow. But either way, both will soak you through.
Right, that's enough philosophizing. Let's not pretend Sassy picked this book for its existential metaphors. He picked it because it's got lasers, destruction, and because deep down, he too dreams of watching society burn.
I will neither confirm or deny that statement. You two are a riot, I swear. Speaking of reading, how goes the Chronicles of Inoki?
You know, it goes.
That's so? Hold up. Chronicles of Inoki? Oh, it's some real old-fashioned history from Hatter's home realm. Tales of their gods and the way the world was shaped, and the chaos that came after. Ain't exactly a bedtime story in the end. You've been sitting on the mythology from your home realm and you're just casually leaving it out of conversation.
We had a whole segment on it, you idiot. Mention one little war between gods and suddenly people start asking questions.
Questions like who started it, and why entire mountains went missing, or maybe why the sky caught fire. Hatter?
Well, if I must be honest, yes, some stories may include some of my fabulous ancestors stirring up a tiny bit of divine mischief.
And tiny bit of mischief you mean catastrophic celestial disaster. That's exactly what she means.
Why is it every time I try to share a piece of my rich, fascinating history, I'm met with such cynicism?
Maybe because your history book sounds like a biblical apocalypse narrated by a stoned bard? Accurate.
Bah, you peasants wouldn't recognize a true legend if it fell out the sky and set the world on fire. Which, potentially, I may have did.
We return to the duo later, as Hatter is struggling to decide on the perfect outfit. Sassy is lounging on a velvet couch, legs draped over an armrest, picking at a tray of chocolates. Hatter is rifling through an overflowing wardrobe, her movements growing more frantic by the second. Both are incredibly stoned, and laughter is sluggish. Their limbs are heavy, and the room is strewn with half-tried outfits and reject brad books crumpled on the floor.
Nope, no. Why is everything either too itchy, too heavy, or too much? I can't do this, Sassy. I'm going to combust. Just poof. Gone in a puff of overstimulated misery.
That would be hilarious, though, like, 1 second, Hatter. Next second, just a pile of glitter and disappointed Taylor.
Sassy, focus. I need a dress that doesn't feel like I'm wrapped in sandpaper or drowning in a woolen swamp.
Have you tried wearing a barrel? I've heard it's a timeless classic, perfect for the down on their luck pirate look.
I swear if I didn't need you for this fashion crisis, I'd strangle you.
Alright. Deep breath, sis. What exactly are you looking for? Enlighten my very stoned brain.
Something that feels right, like smooth but not too smooth, flowing but not too flowy, and structured but not too smith, and,
So, the fashion equivalent of Enigma wrapped in velvet?
Yes.
Oh, a feather boa. You know what this reminds me of?
Oh no.
The fox?
Oh. That elusive vixen you refuse to talk about. Spill now.
Oh, she was trouble. Beautiful, brilliant, infuriating trouble.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of trouble exactly?
Picture this. A pool party. Palm trees swaying. Music thumping. The sun drenched everything in gold. We spent that afternoon basking like overfed cats, passing a joint back and forth between sips of margaritas. Absolute paradise.
Go on.
Oh, the fox. She was in her element. Laughing, flirting, plotting some mischief I should have seen coming, but you know me.
A fool?
Exactly. So I'm here sipping on my drink, completely unaware when suddenly my mouth is on fire.
No. What did you do?
That little menace slipped some capsaicin extract into my margarita. I nearly died, Hatter. Died right there in the middle of paradise.
Ah, I love her already.
Oh, and she wasn't done. Not even close. You see, someone had to perform that night. Big event, fancy people, and guess who got volunteered?
Not you.
Oh, yes, me. And she knew I had a bit of stage fright, so she did what she would do. She handed me a glass of what she called magic water and told me it would help me with my social anxieties.
Gods. Did it work?
Like a charm. 1 second I'm protesting, and the next I'm up there, dancing.
No. You dancing?
Yes. And not just any dancing, full performance mode. 12 spins. Oh, I even think I vogued.
I'm so proud.
But then came her final trick. The ultimate prank. I had no clue what was coming.
What did she do?
Just as the song ended, I was there feeling on top of the world, and she swooped in, out of nowhere, and kissed me.
No, she did not.
Oh, she did. In front of everyone. My brain short-circuited.
What happened?
And I blinked, stunned. She was just grinned, whispered something about me being too slow before vanishing into the crowd like a damn ghost.
And you let her go?
Well, I had other priorities at the time.
And if you say hunting pirates, I swear to the gods.
You need to pay the bill somehow.
Oh, you're the fool in every love story.
What can I say? The sea calls, and I also do my debts.
Sassy, where did you get these chocolates? Oh, look at this. A note. Enjoy the chocolates, Blueberry. A little something to keep you on your toes. The fox. Sassy, these chocolates are medicated.
Oh no.
Welcome back to the Chronicles of Noki. Today's epic, Vestige and the Sacred Flame. In the heart of Yggdrasil, the tree of life, where branches touch the heavens, and roots cradle the underworld, lies a tale, Vestige, goddess of creation. Vestige, luminous daughter of Dionysius, god of madness, and Magnus, god of the arcane, ascended to claim the throne of creation, a seat revered and feared by mortals and divines alike. The throne of creation, dear listener, is no ordinary seat. It is a beacon of divine purpose, a font from which the muses of old whispered their sacred gifts into the mortal hearts. In the days, the muses were said to dwell within the throne's light, their essence suffusing the air with inspiration. These were no mere figures of myth, but embodiments of divine wisdom, guiding mortals through the art, poetry, and song. Each muse carried a fragment of eternal truth, the courage to dream, the courage to persevere, and the grace to create beauty amidst chaos. It was here, beneath the shimmering canopy of Yggdrasil's eternal leaves, that the ideas took form. Here, the veils of art, imagination parted to reveal the divine, a reflection of beauty, chaos, and unity. Yet, the Vestige, the throne, was far more than a font of inspiration. It was a forge of boundless potential, a loom upon which she wove not just stories, but the fabric of existence itself. In her hands, the muses' legacy became sacred charge, their eternal essence a current flowing through every act of creation. Each stroke of her hand, each spark of her thought was imbued with their wisdom, guiding the craft of realms that danced with life and meaning. Yet for every act of creation, there came an unyielding weight. For every life born, a death must follow. For every star ignited, a shadow must fall. Such is the sacred balance decreed by the All-Father Time, who watches the dance between chaos and order with quiet sorrow. Vestige's days were long, nights ceaseless. From dawn's first light, the silent hours of twilight, her hands shaped wonders beyond mortal imagining. She painted the skies with stars that sang in their own names, moulded mountains that whispered in the ancient hymns of the earth, and wove rivers that carried the laughter of the gods to the oceans. Yet amidst her ceaseless toil, loneliness grew in her heart like a shadow at dusk. It was then, in a moment of tender longing, that she was gifted a companion. From the starlight of the distant galaxies and the gentle hum of life's first breath, came Bojangles, a dog of celestial charm. His brown and white coat shimmered with the spark of creation itself. Bojangles was more than a companion. He was a manifestation of faithfulness, a symbol of unwavering support. His purpose was clear: to be a steadfast friend, a tireless aid to Vestige in her divine labours. To match the grandeur of his role, he was gifted a pair of magnificent flapping ears, itched to catch the winds of creation themselves. With these wings of demotion, he soared through the heavens, gliding through the radiant stars and the gentle arcs of the clouds. Bojangles was no mere creature. He was a guardian of the sacred balance. His boundless energy, a counterpoint to the solitude of Vestige's ceaseless work. Together they journeyed through the realms both vast and intimate. They were sprawling across the cosmic plains, and the stardust wove through the eternal dance, to the intricate corners of the world newly born, where the first dew-dropped kissed the budding petals of creation. He was a hymn to freedom, each leap through the sky a testament of beauty of existence. His joyous bark echoed like a playful thunder, filled with the void of life. His wagging tail stirred the air as if conducting symphonies of the cosmos. Vestige watched him with a tender smile, finding the unyielding loyalty, the strength to their continued divine acts. Together, they danced the eternal rhythm of creation, and their bond unbroken, their purpose intertwined. But, as the light draws shadow, joy invites envy. Unseen by Vestige, malice brewed in the void. One fateful day, she crafted a world, unparalleled beauty, a realm where colours danced like fireflies, where the wind carried melodies of the divine. She came forth from the abyss, sent by the elders of ruin. The shade sought to unmake what she had made, to shatter the balance of creation. The shade approach was heralded by a storm of chaos, a voice, a cacophony that drowned the harmonies of existence. Bojangles, ever loyal, stood firm against the intruder. A battle ensued, fierce, unrelenting, but the shade's strength was greater than even the dog's celestial spirit could withstand. Bojangles was left gravely injured, his memory fractured into 1,000 shards, like a broken mirror of a forgotten daydream. Vestige, though divine, was not invincible. The shade's power, dark, bound her to her own creation, a prison of her making. Yet in captivity, the goddess of creation was undeterred. From her prison she sent forth messages, not through the language of the gods, but through the very art that she was destined to create. She whispered her plight through melodies that danced into the winds, into the paintings that spoke of longing, and into the cartoons that carried the fragments of her tale. These creations scattered across the multiverse, like seeds cast upon the fertile ground of mortal imagination. Each bore a singular plea: find Bojangles, for he alone could ignite the flame to set her free. And within each whisper's tale laid a lesson, a truth shaped by Vestige's eternal wisdom. In her songs, she taught that perseverance could overcome despair. In her paintings, she revealed the beauty of imperfection. And in her stories, she planted that the hope of even the smallest acts of love could ripple across the cosmos to reshape destiny. These lessons were not merely for mortals, but for Bojangles himself, a guiding light in his fragmented memory, a call to awaken his loyalty and courage. Now listen closely, dear listener. to the next turn of this tale. It is said that Bojangles True, robbed of his memory, remains tethered to his mistress, but bound deeper than time itself. In the mortal realm, legends tell of the sacred flame that he ignites each day on the hour of 4:20. This flame, they say, is no mere ritual, but a beacon, a luminous thread connecting him to the vestige's scattered works. The flame, kindled in quiet moments of reverence, burns brightest when Bojangles partakes in mortal joys, watching the latest cartoons, listening to music, and basking in the warmth of art. These moments, though simple, are acts of divine communion, reflections of Vestige's enduring hope. And what are Vestige's messages? Is it whispered in the heart of dreamers, etched in the visions of artists, and sung in the melodies that move us to tears? Her message, dear listener, is this: creation is eternal, bound only by the limits of the heart. Seek the sacred flame, for it lights the lies to the key of the cosmos. So, when you find yourself lost in song, captivated by a story, or touched by a painting, remember this: you may be hearing Vestige's voice, a whisper across the veil, calling not just Bojangles, but all of us, to join the infinite dance of creation. And somewhere, across the vast expanse of existence, Vestige awaits with hope that her loyal companion will find his way home, back to her, guided by the lessons she left behind. This has been another chapter in the Chronicles of Inoki. Until we meet again, may your days be filled with wonder, and may you always find the courage to create.
And just like that, budlets, we've reached the end of another episode of the Sassy and Hatter Show. Time flies when you're knee-deep mystery, mythology, and whatever questionable life choices that led you to get here in the first place. We've unraveled a few clues, learned a thing or two, hopefully, and probably raised more questions than we've answered. Classic us. But that's the fun of it, eh? Life's one big, weird, wonderful hunt of meaning, connection, and maybe, just maybe, a damn lighter that you still haven't found. But if you took something from tonight's episode, knowledge, entertainment, a sudden craving for snacks, consider it a job well done. And if you leave with more questions than answers, well, welcome to the club. Pull up a chair, we've got space for you. So, until next time, stay lifted, stay curious, and if you run into the fox, tell her this. Ma millennie hare noi ilenie no aizil. Mai millenio no las ai mai ai tain, ai mania kai ai nerndel. Hare sai ai turnyor yarda, mi ai revolie siara. Nile niele mara de melda, in utulioi un laviai. I am Ghost, signing off. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which, let's be honest, doesn't narrow down the much. But catch you in the next one. And remember, keep it green, keep it clean, and remember to smoke easy.